Students have studied 12, 13 years in their home country, and they're ready to do something different. They're ready to see the world.
Hello and welcome to the third episode of The Study Social. My name is Rachel and I'm your host for this series on starting your journey as an international student. Today the theme is around making friends and joining communities whilst on campus and during your degree. We have two guests on the podcast today, Ruth, who was an ONCAMPUS Boston student, and Rachel, who is the Head of Student Services at ONCAMPUS UK North. But let's start by hearing from some students about how they found making friends when they started their course.
When I arrived in September, I met lots of friends before beginning of studying. So I have lots of friends from different nationalities, different countries, and it gives me opportunities to improve myself.
It has actually been easy to make friends. We even have a group chat which we talk sometimes when we have troubles, we relate to each other and stuff, and we help out each other.
Ruth studied at ONCAMPUS Boston last year and has recently progressed to the University of Massachusetts in Amherst. Ruth was also one of our first ever student content creators, where she created videos for our TikTok channel, Students of On Campus, to show what life is like during your foundation year. I spoke to Ruth about her top tips for making friends in a new environment, and she also tells me about her new community initiative, Nomads and Aliens, which I'll let Ruth explain in more detail at the end of the interview. So hi Ruth, thank you so much for joining us for our third episode of The Study Social. This week we're talking about what it's like to make friends and join communities when you start your new journey with On Campus. Could you start by just introducing yourself for us, please?
Thank you so much for having me. I was at OnCampus Boston. I was born in the US. My nationality by my family is Nigerian. That's my background. And the accent you're hearing is South African because that's where I grew up. And that's where I found On Campus.
So how easy was it to make friends when you first started? And what kind of things made it easier or harder for you to do this?
I think I got lucky with On Campus Boston because we showed up right after COVID. Everybody wanted to make friends, Americans and international students alike. What made it easier was that eagerness of all of us to make friends. We'd all been shut in our houses for a year, and now we're like in a new environment. Everybody's our age. It's like one big party.
So did On Campus or the university help you to meet other people by organised events or mixers?
The program did try and make like events, and the university also tried to make events, but where I made most of my friends was the actual classroom. And it was unexpected because you would expect that, oh, if we're all hanging out together on the lawn at the student center, that's when we're going to make friends. But no, it was actually study groups. It was the 5 minutes before the professor starts talking and we're all kind of like, how weird is this class, right? Ha ha ha. And then it becomes, give me your Snapchat, give me your Instagram, we're going out this weekend.
That's really nice, I think, and also so nice for other students to hear that you can make really good friends in those 5 minutes before the class starts. So do you recommend students to join any clubs or societies? And did you join any when you started?
Absolutely. So I was part of the volunteer group at Curry College called Curry Cares, and actually made a couple of friends while I was volunteering, and it was really cool because we got to go to a lot of places. I learned that I like gardening because we did a lot of gardening as well for the community, and just a bunch of other things that I really enjoyed getting involved with. So that was a really good group to join. Another was the Black Student Union. You know, they had a lot of cool events like block parties and like game nights, movie nights, and dance parties, which was fun.
That's so nice to hear. In there, even you've got that mix of joining a club and finding out you like something new, but also then kind of joining a society of people that you can identify a bit more with. I think having both that comfort, but also finding new things is kind of what those clubs and societies are for. So I think that's a really nice aspect of it. So what kind of things did you do with your friends outside of study then?
Wow, this is a very long list. Always go for hot pot like a couple times a month in Chinatown. If you're at On Campus Boston, check out Boston Chinatown. It is amazing. We would also go out to the Boston Common quite a lot. It was a pretty cool place to hang out. And on campus, we would also like study together. And it was like accidental because one of us just had homework the one night and he came by my door and he was like, I don't want to study alone. That's boring. Just come hang out with me. And I was like, okay. But on our way, we ran into another on-campus student we were friends with, and we were like, hey, we're going up to third floor to hang out in the lounge. Want to come with? And he was like, sure, but I have homework, so I'm bringing my laptop. And it just like grew, and it became like this twice a week study/hangout/air out your grievances with struggling to like fit in kind of support group for us. And it just felt like I was talking to a bunch of my cousins, and it was really great.
That's so cool how it kind of evolved accidentally. I really like that. So, what would your top 3 tips be for making friends in a new home and a new country?
Number one, and most important of all, leave the comfort zone. I showed up at college knowing that I couldn't be totally comfortable with everything that I did. So, like, when they were like, do we have any international students in the house with the crowd? Like, I just forced myself to scream and go, woo! Like, make as much noise as I could. I was the only one in the crowd that screamed. But later on at the intro party where I was like, hey, how's it going? They're like, hey, you were that girl screaming her head off in the crowd earlier. That was so cool. Nobody else did that. Nice to meet you. Here's my snap. You know, like, just get yourself out there and forget your comfort zone and don't cling to what you know. Number 2, I would say join clubs and activities that interest you or might interest you, because you never know what you might be into. And number 3, I think don't be afraid to reach out to people after that initial meeting, because, you know, a lot of our cultures I grew up personally in a culture that values a lot of family interactions and closed interactions. And I was never really taught how to just walk up to a stranger and be like, hi there, I like the shirt you've got on. I think we have XYZ in common or whatever. And it was just very weird for me to, after the first time we speak, to go back to them and be like, hey, we met yesterday. Would you like to meet me at the library for coffee or something? That's what people do. So I think not being afraid to reach out after that initial meeting is really how you make that friend and cement your connection.
Yeah, that's such a good point. You don't want to lose that initial connection and then not make friends with someone because you're a bit awkward or a bit nervous. I think just being open to everything, that will really get you far, I think. So can you tell us a little bit about this initiative that you've set up specifically for international students?
We're calling it Nomads and Aliens, and basically a meeting place for international students and third culture kids, most of whom are also international students, to kind of share their stories and see other people in the same situations as them, like talking about the struggles that we face and imposter syndrome, because you think you have to work harder as somebody who hasn't grown up in the same place as everybody else, feeling strange about going home or apprehensive about it. Those kind of struggles, we're trying to see what everybody is dealing with, bring it out there, start the conversation, and hopefully we can get somewhere to start filling those gaps.
Amazing. I think that's such an important topic, and so many things in there are going to be really beneficial and really useful for other students to know that, you know, these things are being felt by so many other people. So I think being able to discuss that and gather lots of students who feel the same, I think will be a really nice thing to do. Is this mostly on social media? How will people be able to find this?
So for now, it's on Instagram at Nomads and Aliens and at TikTok with the same handle.
Amazing. Thanks to Ruth for speaking to me all about the different ways of meeting new people at university, and good luck to her with her studies this year. My second conversation is with Rachel Ladd, who is the Head of Student Services at ONCAMPUS UK North. Rachel talks me through what's in place to help students make friends and get involved with student life in Preston. Hi Rachel, thank you very much for joining us today for our third episode of the Study Social. So can you tell us a little bit about what happens in the first few weeks of term that kind of helps students get to know each other and to make friends?
So week 1 at ONCAMPUS UK North, we have induction week. So no lessons run that week. We take students on tours around the campus and the city centre. So it's not just a case of seeing their buildings. They get to see where the banks are, where the shops are, and so on. And they also have an opportunity to start getting to know each other. So we run a variety of different icebreakers during week 1, which allows the students to get to know their teachers and their classmates, which in turn will become their friends.
Sounds like a really nice, useful week where students can learn a bit about their surroundings. So, do the on-campus team host events throughout the year for the students to socialise at?
We do. So we have, again, the wider UCLan community, but we do hold events in centre as well. So we have International Food Day, when we encourage students to bring a dish from their country, wear their national dress. So that's quite an exciting day. We all get to see the different cultures. They get to try different foods, learn about each other's countries and backgrounds. In the summer, we also hold a sports day, which some students have never done before. So it's a new experience for them as well. We also do different trips. So we take them to the Christmas markets in Manchester in December. We also go to the Pleasure Beach in Blackpool. And we also have evenings where we have film nights. So students pick a film and they have a room where we bring some popcorn in and they watch a film together as well.
Amazing. So it sounds like there's loads for students to get involved with. And what I really like as well is you can learn about new cultures, but also show off a bit of your own. But then you're also really getting involved in the UK kind of culture scene with some of the other trips and projects. So I think that sounds like a really nice kind of mixture of activities for students. So what can students get involved in outside of their studies to help them make friends and learn new skills?
So when students start with us, they are on-campus students, but they're also UCLan students. So they get issued a university ID card during the first week, which doesn't just enable them to access the buildings. It also allows them to access the library, the gym, and from a social point of view, the Students' Union. There's lots of different clubs, societies, and also that means that they're not just mixing with fellow on-campus students, they're making friends with UCLan students too. So that will broaden their friendship circle as well, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's incredibly useful because you're not just making friends with other international students, you might be making friends with home students as well, but also people that have kind of got that experience. So you can ask them questions about UCLan when you haven't even kind of started that course there. So I think that's really nice to properly be a part of the university. Are there any social media groups that students can join to chat or arrange meetups when they're on campus?
Yes, so a lot of students, when they come and they make their friendship groups, they make WhatsApp groups together, so they have their own little groups. But we do have an Instagram where we do post things, where we let students know about things that are happening. We do use Insta stories. We know that students are always on their phone. So if there's anything that we need to tell them about, we'll get it on Instagram rather than constantly sending emails and so on. We also have a TikTok, which our students have been using as that started to become more prominent. And we've also had a group this year that started the ONCAMPUS UK North magazine. So we had our first issue in the summer, and that was a student initiative. So we are hoping to take that forward with our new group as well. And that encouraged, again, students to socialise, go to the Students' Union and show off what they've been doing and what other students can get involved with.
That sounds like a really exciting project. And I think it's really good to know that these students are motivated and that when they've got this idea, it can be facilitated as well. They can come up with a creative idea and be supported by on campus to kind of bring that to a reality. So what would be your top 3 tips to give to students to help them make friends when they arrive?
We would say to them, say yes to every opportunity. We know that you're here to study, but we do not want you to be studying all the time and burning yourself out. Get out there, make the most of your potentially just 1 year with us. So do take all the opportunities that you can. We want you all to be successful, but we want you to be happy and healthy as well. Also, as I said before, if you make friends, make a WhatsApp group, find out what everyone's doing on a Saturday afternoon, whether it's with your classmates or your housemates or anybody.
I think that's brilliant advice. And like you said, you could only be there for a year with these people. So you don't want to just study the whole time. That's obviously the reason you've moved over, but you want to make the most of your experience. So I think saying yes to everything is great advice. Thanks very much to both our guests today on all the tips and advice they've given about making friends during your year with On Campus. Listen out for next week when we'll be talking about student welfare and support. Follow us on Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Study Social Podcast, and check out our Instagram at Study Social Pod. See you next week.